Good morning. Hope you're all well today on this lovely sunny day, although it's a bit dark down here. Hope you can see me okay, or us. Today we're going to read another story of Pyweasel, that dude there, and his animals. So the first one we're going to read is Pyweasel finds some eggs, but not for breakfast. Pyweasel put the kettle on and made his tea and toast. He was hungry. He enjoyed that. Now it was time to feed all the animals that lived around his house. He opened the door of the barn so the donkey, horse and goat could go into the paddock after they had eaten. The dogs and cats had their plates in the lean-to. Desmond, the vegetarian mole, was chewing on a carrot. The water birds were around the pond and Dillis the duck in her paddling pool. So he pulled some weeds out of the pond for her. When he had finished all his work, he went for a walk down to the village, making sure he kept a safe distance from anyone he met. He waved at his friends, Jean and Violet shouted a joke at him from her wheelchair. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? She looked at Pyweasel's confused face and laughed. The answer is 10. 10 tickles. 10 tickles, get it? They went off laughing, but Pyweasel didn't get it. He thought about it all the time he was walking in the park and around the pond. He walked around it twice and saw under a tree a nest with 3 eggs in it. They were dirty white with speckles, so he knew they weren't swan's eggs, because they are pale green. He went home and did some work and had his lunch. Cheese and pickled onion sandwich. He pickled the onions himself. He also liked pickled eggs, and that made him think about eggs by the pond. He had the mother goose come back and sat on them to keep them warm. He decided to go for a walk again and look at them again, just to make sure. They were still there. Mother Goose was not there. He took off his jumper and carefully took the eggs back to his home, where he could look after them. He made a more comfortable nest from an old scarf and sat it under the lamp he used when he was working on small things, like make-believe flies for fly fishing. A few days later, one of them hatched, and Pyweasel was kept very busy in making sure it had food and water. The first thing that the gosling saw that moved was Pyweasel. So the baby bird thought Pyweasel was her mum. Once she was lifted down onto the floor, she followed Pyweasel everywhere. Pyweasel wondered if she would make friends with Dillis the duck. It's a possibility. He called the gosling Debbie the knock duck because it made him laugh. He took her down to the pond in his own garden, not the one in the park. She followed him, and as he walked along he started to laugh. Not at her name, but at the 10 tickles it took to make the octopus laugh. 10 tickles. Of course it was. 10 tickles. Debbie the knock duck wasted no time in getting in the pool with Debbie. Pyweasel was really happy about that. It's always good to take...
Sorry, take a sentence back for me.
Tentacles?
There you go.
Oh, it's always good to care about people that are on their own. Or goslings come to that. They became good friends, and Pyweasel was still laughing about the octopus when he peeled the potatoes for his dinner. I shall read the next one a bit slower.
Thank you. What is the next story? What's it called?
The next one's called Pyweasel and the Bad Smell.
Ooh, I like the sound of this one.
And this one's about Lolly,
Now, where's
which
Lolly?
is the black dog.
Okay, so we've got to sort out the sign names for these two. So we've got Lolly, and we'll do Lolly
Yeah.
for Lolly's name. And what about the other dog?
Licky.
Licky. Licky. Cool. Okay, so Lolly and Licky. I'll try and remember that one.
Yeah, check out, make sure she does. The sun was hot on Pyweasel's head, so it was good he had his hat on. He used the hoe with the long handle to get rid of the weeds that were growing amongst his carrots. He shared his carrots with Desmond the mole. He was a mole who didn't eat worms. He was a vegetarian. The Brussels sprout stalks were getting high. Pyweasel was looking forward to eating those with his Christmas dinner. His favourite part of Christmas dinner was sage and onion stuffing and Brussels sprouts.
That's a sign I'm not sure about. So he's got the Brussels sprouts are getting really tall, but for his Christmas dinner he liked them, and he liked stuffing. What should we do for that? Stuffing or
Stuffing.
stuffing? Maybe,
Stuffing.
because that's what you do, isn't it, with a chicken or
Stuffing.
turkey? Stuffing.
I'm
I'm going to do it like that. Stuffing.
Stuffing.
So we've got Brussels sprouts and stuffing. Okay.
This is good, isn't it?
Yeah, this is quite fun.
Brussels sprouts
I'm
and Christmas.
sorry.
Oh, right. His favourite part of Christmas dinner was sage and onion stuffing and Brussels sprouts, then Christmas pudding and cream. He could almost taste it. It made his mouth water, and it made him smile. Brussels sprouts and stuffing and pudding made him make lots of, you guessed it, noises and smells. He could hear the parrot saying, "Who's a farty pants? You are a plonker." It was a good job that no other humans lived with Pyweasel, just animals, because they didn't pull horrible faces at the noises or smells. He looked closely at the bottom of the plants. Some of the sprouts were missing. He hadn't picked any yet. Where were they? It was a puzzle. Pyweasel liked puzzles. He sometimes did a crossword puzzle, but he didn't always spell the words right. Never mind. Joanne was helping him by grooming Meat, the horse.
Who is Joanne?
Oh, Joanne, I think we're going to get to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's grooming Meat and working in the garden. She loved horses and was waiting for Pyweasel to finish the cart. She lived next door with her mum, Jean, and Violet, their friend. Joanne had stopped working and was playing with the dogs. Lolly and Licky. Licky liked to lick, and Lolly always had his tongue hanging out. Oh,
Him.
Maybe Lolly should be like floppy one.
Oh no, Lolly's like this now. I've said it.
Okay, Lolly. Okay. Joanne suddenly put her fingers over her nose and said, "Someone has made a bad smell," in a very loud voice. The two people passing the fence looked at Pyweasel. The man started to laugh, but the lady made him hurry up. Jean and Violet were in their garden too, and their faces appeared over the fence and looked at Pyweasel. The man started... Oh, sorry, let me roll forward because I just looked away and I missed my page. And looked at Pyweasel. Pyweasel laughed. Everyone thought he had made the bad smell, but he hadn't. It wasn't even Christmas yet. He had a puzzle to work out. Who had made the smell? It wasn't him. It wasn't Joanne. It wasn't Jean or Violet. It wasn't the two people who had been walking along the path, definitely. He looked at the dogs. Licky jumped up at Joanne and tried to lick her fingers. But Lolly had wandered off where the sprouts were growing and started eating the little ones at the bottom of the stem. Pyweasel had never seen a dog do that before. The puzzle was solved. It was Lolly who made the bad smell. He made another one that was so loud it surprised him, and he ran around in circles chasing his tail to find out where it had come from. And that's the end of that. I think Lolly's the farty pants.
Do you know what? I'm pretty sure we had a dog a little bit like that when I was younger that stunk quite a lot. Especially with one kind of food that we used to give it. It was awful.
Well, we've got a cat that does the same now, haven't we?
Yes, and they're absolutely silent.
Yeah, she sort of...
Suddenly a smell hits you and you go, oh! Well, I think before we finish, because this is going to be our last one for now, I think first we're going to teach you some of the signs of the animals. But first of all, the sign for Pyweasel. Now that's me spelling his name, it's quite long, so I just do P Weasel because he's got a long beard. Look at this one.
He's got a goatee.
Beard. So P and beard, Pyweasel. Then we've got the goat here. So a goat is a little bit similar to Pyweasel because that's actually goat, but you do it with your lips at the same time, goat. Then we've got our little mole. Normally, you would finger spell M-O-L-E, but I like to do mole because he digs around. And then we've got, up the top there, we've got our dogs. So we've got Lolly, and we've got Licky. That's his tongue there. Or her tongue, get around the right way.
He, she.
Yes. And then we've got cats. Cats like that with your fingers. What have we got behind me here? Oh, down here. You can see these ones. Mouse or mice with one finger. Mice. If you do it with two, it's rat. And then we've got up here the geese. And up here, we've got the donkey. So we have our hands on our head and we go backwards and forwards like this. But for this donkey, instead of eat or, he goes eat, eat, eat. So I tend to get one hand stuck, like his voice gets stuck. And
we haven't got a picture. There's the parrot.
The parrot. So we've got a beak here that curls over. Parrot.
We've got Meet the horse.
Yeah. We're going to add that one, aren't we? And
sheep.
Sheep.
The three-legged sheep.
Yeah, sheep. Have we ever had chickens in our stories? I don't think we have we?
I think at the beginning there was
okay,
chickens.
So chickens.
We go chicken, 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 chicken.
And what other animals can we think of? Well, we've got ladies who sometimes appear in the stories, and we've got men who sometimes appear in the stories. And then we've got his house. We've got the barn. and the garden,
Park.
the park, and the pond. Draw a circle with our finger back to the other finger, and we add water. Pond and water. And there's also the lean-to, so I would think that's probably the house and the bit on the side.
It's crooked.
Yeah.
Lean-to.
Cool. So anyway, hopefully we'll be able to carry on with some more stories off in the future, but for now we're going to have a little bit of a break. But thank you for watching. See you later.
Bye.